Squat time.
Are there any to squat today?
I need to squat 230 for 3x7.
240,
230.
230. I'll let you know equipment today.
Yeah.
Got the money, plenty, okay. Dirty pussies got me angry, okay. Dirty niggas, I'm a killer, my brain. Dirty bitches, I'm a murder, your gang. 2021, I come with a bang. Dirty soldiers, they don't go on my A. Fucking nigga, hits me handy, okay. I've been struggling on a daily, okay. If you got the money, plenty, okay. Dirty pussies got me angry, okay. Shake it, daddy, shake your body, shake your money. 30 for a nugget. I'ma start up a pot in my juggin'. I don't got a pot of
The blue I see you when I see you, like a movie trailer preview. Home ahead coming back, so don't be waiting for that sequel. Your balls is getting broken like that ex that made you single. I'll reverse your hype entirely and see you in my review. I don't care about if it's feed you, watch me play the key like Riku. I'm so impressed with goofies while you down or down for cover. Call your people, get your brother. I'm aiming at your mother if he think he's slick as butter. Can't believe it, grab your cousin while they dreaming under covers. Annihilate your lover. I shoot a jumper out the court, I'm still gonna beat the buzzer. They never should've let me out, they can't jump in and lie. Posting all you liars, once I cut it for that cheap deal. Every day I'm living, it's another day of cheap thrills. Drug deals, rubber spill, banana peel, and blood spill. Get yourself once healed, get yourself twice for real. I can't stand the smell of dirty pussy touch my nostrils. Your whole entire click and feel. If you in my atmosphere, I promise I'm gonna interfere and interrupt your sad career. Make it worse than how you sound on every single track you make. I'll make sure you evaporate and disappear like magic. Paint a picture with the static. This talent they can handle. The bars that leave them panicking. It's right while I'm hidden in the shadow.
Okay, so normally on Saturdays I would only be squatting. I'm going to give a shot of doing a full SBD day actually with bench variation and deadlift, but only one top set. We'll see how that goes, especially considering I have to deadlift again tomorrow. But what I'm going to try on bench is to do pin bench pressing. And the goal here with this session will be to give myself a day where I'm benching over what I'm able to do on singles. So to give myself a heavier exposure than what's possible with a full movement, so that I get a accommodation to heavier weights, heavier loads. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if that's possible with this variation of this movement. This is the first time I'm trying this and the first time I'm doing this session. The first time benching 6 days a week. And so we'll see how that goes, we'll see how that feels. We'll see if it's possible to eventually go over my single weights with this variation. And if not, I might switch to a different variation to try to get the same effect. But we'll see how it goes, and I'll get right into it. I'm gonna do a few warm-ups of a full bench first, just to get my body warm and ready, and then raise the pins and start going.
Blowing up green pop like it's not got a lifestyle so authentic. She's my life. Is you ready or not? Career fancy and fatty or not? Bloody rich, get out of the box. The one that can keep always spills into his freak shape. I'm a nice cause I'm taking all your shit. Just be, y'all fake. You ain't kid, you ain't Wayne, you ain't me. I don't know what you want, but I got what you need. Sex after sex, fuck away like I'm pissed. I'm the best, no question. Like the opposite of all.
So as you just saw, I missed 200 kilos, which is 441 pounds. I noticed heavily that I hit the one side of the racks before the other. I'd known beforehand and in general that my bench is a little bit angled, not perfectly parallel to the ground. But I noticed in trying to do this with the pins to set to the same height, how dramatic the difference is. I would really feel it hit on the left, and then almost like half a second later, I'd have to like sink in to let it hit on the right. And that's really not what you want. It felt uncomfortable, especially with these weights. Gave it a go, I'm happy I tried. But I know for next week, I want to hit this kind of a session, the overload, with the overload potential. And I'm planning to do that then with a board in the middle of my chest. That way it doesn't matter really the unbalance. This unbalance issue is probably something I will try to address at some point. But the issue is I've benched like that for 10 years, so it's kind of hard to fix those kinds of fundamental issues. So the quick solution of just using a board is there. So that'll be that. I'm gonna stop benching now. I just take it. I did get 200 kilos in my hand, 190 kilos in my hand. So I did get sort of an overload exposure that's heavier than I'm benching weekly. So I did get that. And so I feel positive about that. Another sort of a bench day, another day of arms moving. But I'm gonna call it here, especially because of a failure. Don't want to tax myself so much because I do have to bench again tomorrow. Yeah, and so the next clip is probably gonna be building up to a top set of deadlifts. So you'll see that. I'm gonna be at a different gym. So that was my day. What you can obviously notice is that I didn't just squat today. I did bench and a bench variation and deadlift. Something that's been sort of on my mind lately, the past bunch of weeks, months honestly, has been the concept of trying to do a 5 or 6 day a week SBD. This would be by splitting some of my training days across other training days to spread out volume in each individual lift, pushing more adaptation over time. This was originally put into my head when I talked to a lifter out in Georgia named Timur, who sort of, when I asked him how he trains, and I was shocked to hear that a super heavyweight man trained 6 days a week SBD. He almost like laughed in my face that he was confused why I would even find that weird at all, because I guess they just train like maniacs over there. But ever since I sort of was introduced to that concept, it's been on my mind, and I knew that that was theoretically something women could do, or smaller women or smaller men, but I didn't realize that larger men could handle that rate of training and adaptation. I also saw him chain smoking cigarettes, and I see him drinking beers on his Instagram stories. So I'm pretty sure if he can recover from it, pretty much anyone can. And that gave me confidence to give it a go. It was sort of a weird or hard decision. I was thinking about making the transition, maybe in trying it out after ACA, but I decided like if I'm going to make the transition, it's better to do it before a competition if it is going to serve any benefit, because then it'll give me benefit for the competition. So rather to do it sooner than later, especially because I do believe it will have positive benefits to my training. And I already was starting to feel like, hey, if I'm really taking powerlifting seriously, am I not just wasting time not doing this? So I decided to give it a go. I'm curious how it'll feel. I know that I'll have to be very careful with load management across my lifts, especially my deadlift. But I'm confident it can go well if I be very careful and do it correctly. And I'm very curious to see where this will bring me. I know that I'm a lifter that benefits highly from volume and training and building up my capacity. And so I am pretty confident and excited to see where this journey will take me.